up, everyone? Welcome to the Nzuki podcast. I'm Zuki, and I trust you're having a good day. So last week I had a conversation with a friend of mine about social activism and political change. And in our argument, we talked about why most change tends to be started by younger people, while older people tend to oppose such kind of change. So you've seen in many societies, in many movements, whenever people want something to change, let's say in government, most of the time is usually the young people who push for that for such change, and it's mostly not the older people. In fact, in some cases, the older people tend to oppose such change. And someone may ask if these changes, these social changes, these political changes that these young people are demanding are beneficial to everybody. How comes the older people tend to oppose such change, and they seem to think that it's not worth it to risk pushing for such change? And so there are a few things that I came up with that I believe they are the reasons why younger people tend to push for that change as compared to older people. And one of them is hope. So compared to older people, younger people have more hope that things can be better, things can change, as opposed to older people. Because when it comes to older people, there are so many broken promises from the government, so many broken promises from the system, that they feel like there is no need to try to change things, because when you have been promised by so many regimes that things will be better, services will be better, and you don't see these changes, at some point you just give up and you no longer have that hope that you used to have when you are in your 20s or late teens. Something else that you can look at when it comes to this kind of change that is pushed by younger people and not older people, it's usually what is there to lose. So when it comes to younger people, there's usually not much to lose, because younger people usually have not done much, like in terms of starting families, investing in careers, investing in businesses. So as compared to older people who have already established themselves in a certain career, they have invested in certain businesses, they have invested in families, they feel like they have so much to lose. And so for them, they feel like there is no need to disturb the system. Even if the system seems to have its problems, they would rather just stick to that system instead of trying to push to change that system. And then the other thing that pushes for this change in younger people as opposed to older people is identity and belonging. So by pushing for change, let's say for example climate activism, climate change activism, or you're pushing for maybe certain rights, maybe it's a political movement pushing for maybe LGBT rights or women rights. The reason why younger people may push for such movements as opposed to older people is that identity and belonging. They feel like they are part of something. They have they get a sense of purpose from these movements. So for older people, they already did this when they were younger, and they already know their purpose, or maybe they've given up on their purpose anyway, either way. But as compared to younger people tend to have that hope, so they get to find their purpose, find their identity, and push for this change. So it's important to understand that we have to see the bigger picture when this matter is involved. We're talking about why younger people push for change and why older people may resist that change. And the middle ground is when younger people push for change, is usually the older people who actually help to maintain that change, you know. So for example, if you look at what happened in Nepal after there was a lot of censorship of free speech, and young people, especially the Gen Zs, they fought. There were a lot of protests, and they ended up, the prime minister ended up resigning. If you look at what happened after the young people did the protest and achieved the change they needed, it is the older people. The Chief Justice actually was put in place as the interim prime minister as they wait for their elections in March. So you can see the middle ground is that at some point, once that change has been achieved, usually older people will come in to try to help maintain that change that has been maintained, as the case in Nepal. So while it's important to understand these motivations for pushing for change among younger people, it is good to also see that middle ground that is achieved when that change has actually been attained. So so it's important to understand that the involvement at the early stages of these movements is usually just young people, but at the later stages, older people may actually jump in and try to be part of that change, because in a way it gives them, it resurrects that old dream that maybe things could be better. Maybe when they were in their 20s, they believed things would be better, they tried, but the system never changed. But now seeing younger people achieve that, they may actually jump in and be part of that change. So that's the middle ground that actually is seen whenever these big activist movements from younger people arise. So I believe, I hope you've learned something in this episode, and I hope you get to leave a comment in the comment section so that you can continue to engage further and learn and grow together. So I hope you get to subscribe to this channel, and you get to turn on the notification bell so that you can continue to get notifications whenever we drop a new episode. So thank you for watching, and I hope you have a good day.